Yeah, and Mark, the other thing I want to bring up is this being Ohio State's sixth game. I went back and Clemson's sixth game was, I believe, the win over Syracuse, in which they were up by 6 late in the third quarter. And Dabo said that this past game against Notre Dame was their best game of the season, meaning they have gotten better and had chances to get better and time to get better. Ohio State now enters their seventh game. The seventh game for Clemson this past season was Boston College. And we remember what happened there, where Boston College was up by like 18 before Clemson turned it around. So the idea that Ohio State has some advantage by playing fewer games is incorrect. It just means they've had fewer opportunities to lose games that they wouldn't have lost, but they've had much less opportunity to be as good as they would be after 12 games. Ryan Day has said they have not played their best game yet. Clemson just did, and Dabo admitted it.
And Steve, that's the other good argument that's out there is most of this argument falls on the side of Ohio State's got this huge advantage. They're fresh. They've only had to play 6 games. And yes, the less games you play, the less you're nicked up, the less chance that there's a major injury. But to Tony's point, you need reps. You're a football team that's played 2 games, then you're off. Then you played a couple of games, you're off. And they played, of course, last week, but they were off the week before. They just have not gotten that chance to get the reps and get into sync like the team that they're going to play here in the playoff.
Yeah, I think you could definitely make that case that Clemson is favored because of that, just because they're in more of a weekly groove or a grind. And they played great football. Once they got Trevor Lawrence back, they weren't threatened pretty much down the stretch. They did some really great things here the last 3 or 4 weeks. So when they were able to get on the field, they did not play the week before the Notre Dame game this past week, but prior to that, they were doing very well. So I do understand where everybody's coming from. I think the focus now shifts obviously to this matchup. And Ohio State, to my way of thinking, I mean, should have a ton of motivation. You have last year's game. You have Dabo Sweeney voting them number 11 in the coaches poll, by far the lowest anybody voted Ohio State. And I'm not even sure why he would do something like that, because or where he had him the week before, or if this has been something where he's always had him outside of his top 10 because they hadn't played enough games, or was holding it against both them and Pac-12 teams. I don't know. I don't know what his voting strategy has been all year, but that was kind of an eye-opener. And just his outward comments that a team that didn't play enough games didn't deserve to be there. It's unfortunate. I think Ohio State, they had their druthers, would have rather played 8 or 9 games themselves, but it just didn't work out that way. And now Ohio State's going into the playoff as it is, 6 games and that's it. So gonna take their shot, and you get one swing, as Ryan Day was quoted after the game. They don't have to beat them 10 times. They don't have to beat them 20 times. They only have to beat them 1 time. And last year's game was virtually a draw. I mean, it was decided on the second to last play of the game, an interception by Ohio State. And a couple bad calls obviously went against the Buckeyes in that game that may have shaped the outcome, and just a couple bad breaks. And honestly, if you really want to go back to it, Ohio State had opportunities in the red zone, didn't cash in, had to kick field goals. Did a great job defensively stopping the traditional run game, the traditional pass game, but had no answer for the quarterback run or the screen passes that Lawrence threw to ATN. Those were the big plays in the game. So if they clean up some of that stuff and maybe get a couple breaks this time, maybe they beat Clemson this go-round.
Carson Wood, no full season, no entry. Define full season. I don't know what that is. We had 3 other teams that played 11. Texas A&M said that they deserved to be in. They played 9. So, yeah, the 9 versus 11, 6 versus 9.
There have been no. Go ahead.
They play Florida State. Florida State canceled out on them. Ohio State had teams cancel out on them. They didn't play a full season. So by that logic, Clemson's out too. Hello, Coastal. Hello, Cincinnati. I mean, let's go.
Nobody played 12 games this year, so nobody played an actual full season. So there are no playoffs. I guess it was good. It was a good ride, guys. It was fun regular season. we'll talk to you March for spring football, and then back again in August.
We can talk about a little basketball.
Talk some hoops. Or we can
We
revert.
got a game today at 4:30. Rutgers.
Let's revert to 1997 and vote. Let's have a vote.
Mark, all you need to do is have the conference championship games. And I know Steve hates it. Have the conference championship games be a playoff, play in. You throw a couple of at-larges in there, as we've talked about in the past, and you leave very little up to the voters or to the committee. And that way, the only complaining you can do is to the fans can only complain to the coaches of their teams, and we can leave these poor committee members who sacrifice so much time away from their families by watching so much football. These poor guys and gals who just take themselves away from their families for hours on end to watch football for the benefit of the fans who don't even appreciate it, Mark. We don't deserve them.
They are the true heroes.
The true
Getting put up at a nice hotel in Grapevine, Texas. Meals, sure, a couple pops, whatever. Probably some neat swag. Those poor SOBs.
I had to watch how many football games this weekend? It's a rough ride. It's just a rough go.